Now you know. So yeah, there's three ways in which we perform, mortgage protection. That's one is full payoff. The second way is half payoff, and then the third is what we're going to be covering today, which is critical period equity protection, also known as mortgage payment protection. So yeah, 90%. I don't know, Vivian, how much of your mortgage protection, or how many of your mortgage protection appointments are like fall under this category of
95%, but I am in Miami, so most people are a little bit older here.
But would you say that it's like the majority of the time, especially with older folks, everybody wants to have their full mortgage paid off, right? But you have a specific line which is very good, and you always say that it's like I'd really like to drive a Ferrari, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to drive my Volvo, because that's what I can afford, right? And that's what's best for me in this case. So that's very fitting. And this call is really going to be about equity protection and how to go about it, how to present it, what questions are really, really, really important when you're in the home to set it up in the right way so that your clients understand that you have their best interests at heart. So without further ado, yeah, Vivian, go for it.
All right, guys. So critical period, equity protection, mortgage payment protection, you can call it whatever you want. It is by far the most feared concept in mortgage protection. If you don't understand the concept and you don't know how to present the concept, most of the times you're going to not get that sale. It's a little bit intricate, but it's not difficult. Once you get it, you get it. So let me go back real quick to what critical period is. Critical period equity protection is not a product. It is a concept. What that means is that we're gonna take a product, which is either whole life or term life or IULs, and we're gonna use that product to protect the home somehow. And in this case is by protecting your ability of making those mortgage payments for a certain amount of time. So you need to understand that concept to be able to really be able to put it together and explain it to the client in a way that it can be easy for them to understand. Now, where the problem comes in is if you don't understand the concept yourself, you're not going to be able to pass it through. So it's important for you to understand the concept, and then we're going to go into how to present. Here's the thing. It's easy for you to go to someone's house. They are 33 years old. They have no medications. They are healthy and they qualify for a Miracle Term 125 or CBO 100, right? Now, when you go into somebody's house that they are 75 years old, they have diabetes with insulin, they have several other health complications, they don't qualify for a term product, and you need to do a whole life product, but they have a $400,000 mortgage and they really can't afford, anything more than a $10,000 whole life product from a Miracle or from Aetna or something like that. How do you present that? That's it. That's the key. And most of the appointments when it comes to mortgage protection, that's what you're going to have. You're going to have a $300,000, $200,000, $100,000 mortgage, and they can really only afford a $10,000 whole life. So the concept is we're going to protect their mortgage with a whole life product that can be more than $30,000, right? Or whatever it is that they can afford. That's it. We're going to protect their mortgage payments rather than their entire balance. So how do we do that? I'm going to do a little recap of my presentation, which we went through the entire thing last week. I'm going to recap real quick what it is that I do when I go in a home. Going back to the very first step that I already explained to you guys, the role and purpose. When you get into the home, you want to set up yourself in a position to win. And how do you do that? First step, role and purpose. You have to let them know what it is that you're going to be doing in the next few minutes, okay? And why do you do a role and purpose? Because you do not want to kidnap your clients. That's it. And if you're not going to kidnap your clients, you need to tell them what it is you're doing with them. So role and purpose. When I walk into a home and I'm gonna say, Mary, Bob, I'm gonna tell you what it is that I'm gonna be doing here. If you have any questions, ask me, okay? I am what they call a field underwriter. What I mean by that is for the insurance carriers, I'm like their eyes and ears because it's my job to verify you are who you say you are, that you're not attached to a 500-pound oxygen tank, that you're alive and you're breathing. Once I do that, it flips. I become the person that gets to work for you. So my job is to find you the best coverage you're going to qualify for the least amount of money. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. Number one, you're going to tell them you're asking them health questions. Very important. So you're never going to get people telling you, oh, I don't want to tell you that I have diabetes. You just told them, they're okay with it. I'm going to ask you some health questions so I know what you qualify for. And I'm going to ask, this is extremely important. I'm going to ask you some financial questions so I know what it is that you need. And even if you need mortgage protection, because believe it or not, Mary, I do see people on a regular basis that they don't need mortgage protection. And if that's the case, I'll let you know. I'll tell you to put your money somewhere else. Now, what I find the most often is that the majority of the people that I see need less than what they think they do. That's the key, guys, on their own purpose. You're telling them the majority of the people that you see need less than what they think they do. And that's where I come in. I ask some of these questions and I help you figure out what it is that you need rather than what you want. Does that make sense? And then they say, oh yeah, absolutely, it makes sense. You placing yourself in a position where you are the advisor rather than the salesperson, because we are not salespeople. We don't sell anything here. The people selling stuff is the insurance carriers. We're just the advisors. They're coming in, filling out some information, finding out what they may qualify for, and the people filling out the paperwork. We're not selling anything. We're just advising them on what's good, what's possible, and helping them with the paperwork. So what I find the most often, that's the key. Guys, write this down. I'm going to ask you a few health questions so I know what it is that you're going to qualify for. I'm going to ask you some financial questions so I know if you even need mortgage protection. Because believe it or not, the majority of the people that I see, they need less than what they think they do. Right there, that's the key. Now you're gonna go through the rowing purpose. Once I find out what it is that you need and what you qualify for, I'm gonna pull a few different options for you. At this point, Mary, your job is to pick the option that fits comfortably within your budget. Because I can't stress this enough, okay? Mortgage protection is not a nice car, it's not a nice TV, but you do get to pay for it every month. So it's important that we find that option that fits within your budget and it's comfortable. Otherwise, you're gonna get rid of it. There's no point for me to waste my time, you to waste your time. There's no point. Does that sound good? They're like, oh yes, because they appreciate that you care for their budget. Okay, once you get that, once you pick that option, Mary, all I can do for you here is help you fill out an application. I'm not an insurance carrier. I don't make any decisions. I'm just the lady with the paperwork. I'll help you with the application. Tonight, we're gonna send it out to the insurance carriers. It takes them anywhere from 3 to 15 business days to decide if they're gonna give you the coverage or not. If they do, great, they're gonna mail the policy here for America. Because if it's Aetna, they're gonna email it to you. They're not gonna email it to you. You're gonna have to go online and get it. Make sure to do that, guys, because Aetna doesn't mail policies. If you probably know this. And if you want to avoid chargebacks, tell them you're going to send them the information and then they have to go on the website and get it. Otherwise, you're going to get chargebacks because your clients didn't receive the policies. Because as you probably know, Aetna does not mail policies. Anyway, they're going to either email to you the information for Aetna or they're going to mail the policy to you. At that point, if you'd like, give me a call. I'll come back. We'll review everything together. Does that sound good? They're going to say, yeah, absolutely. If you're going to get any kickback, you're going to get right there in the first 5 minutes of that presentation. And then you know how to conduct that presentation, you know, from now on. You just told them they probably will need less than what they think they do. Great. Right after that, I'm going to do surface why. I'm going to take the lead. I'm going to put in front of them. And I'm going to say, Mary, tell me, why am I here? Why did you fill out this form? What are you looking for? Why are you worried about this type of protection? Then they're gonna go through, they're gonna tell me why. And then I'm gonna ask more questions to dig into that why, because I want them to hear themselves why they need this type of protection. After that, I'm gonna pull my financial inventory, my credibility sheet, and then I'm gonna ask all the questions that are there, right? You guys know how to fill out a credibility sheet. If you're new, ask your manager how to fill that out. Anyway, you're gonna fill that out. I'm gonna share my screen.
So Viv, would you say that like the role and purpose, that really doesn't change across whether you're doing like, it doesn't matter. You're always leading with role and purpose.
Always,
you have to.
Always. If I'm doing life insurance, I do my role and purpose. If I'm doing final expense, I do my role and purpose. If I do a mortgage protection, I do my role and purpose. And the reason I'm doing it is because I don't want to get to the end of the presentation after 30, 40 minutes, 1 hour, and then hear, oh, you didn't tell me that we needed to fill out an application, or you don't want to get to the point where you are asking for health questions. They're like, why are you asking me health questions? You don't want to get to the point when you ask them, what do they have in their 401ks? And they're like, why do you need to know what's in my 401k? If I do my role and purpose properly, which if you watched the presentation last week and this week, it's exactly the same role and purpose, I'm getting rid of every single objection that possibly will come up, because this is very important, guys. Write this down. The best way to avoid objections is not to get them. And the way you don't get objections is by addressing them before they come up. That's it. That's key. Okay. So, yeah, role and purpose, extremely important. I do it every type of presentation. If I'm doing final expense, I'm going to say, some people don't need final expense. I'm going to ask you some questions to find out if you even need this, because you know what? Some people, they have millions of dollars in their 401ks and they don't need a $10,000 policy, really, but you basically gonna do the same thing in every presentation. You're just gonna change for whatever it is that you're doing. Does that answer your question, Adrian? It does. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So let me go into my notability. I'm gonna fill this out. We're gonna fill out the entire. Let me share this screen real quick. Adrian, allow me to share the screen, please. Did you? Click on share screen and allow other people. Click on share on screen. I can't hear you. You're muted. Did you allow me? Honey, you did? Okay. No, it's telling me that I can. Just click on share screen. Give me the host back. Okay, I got it. Okay, I'm sharing my screen now. Start broadcast. Okay. So now after you do that, you're gonna go into the financial, the credibility sheet. You're gonna pull out this paper. You're gonna fill out all of this information, right? You wanna make sure that you find out everything that is to do with their health, with, their mortgage, with their 401ks, life insurance they currently have, and all of that. Once I grab that information, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip my paper. I'm gonna flip my paper, and then I'm gonna go through some of the information that I just got from them. So basically, this is an example. Okay, Bob and Mary, let me just recap what we just talked about real quick. You have a $420,000 mortgage, right? But you have $300,000 of equity. Is that correct? Adri, you're supposed to Role play with me. You're muted. You muted? Can you role play with me? Oh my God, I don't understand. I don't know how to do that. Oh God. Okay, hold on, let me stop sharing the screen. I don't know how to do that. I have no idea.
Click on the little three buttons on my name and say.
I can't, it doesn't give me this option. Oh, got it. Ask you me.
Sorry about that. Yes. Let's go.
Okay. All right, let me back here and share my screen again. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna go back here and do this again. All right, so basically we have $420,000 of mortgage, and we have $300,000 of equity in the house. Is that correct?
That's right.
That's correct. Okay, and we're paying $3,600 a month. Is that right?
Mhm.
Okay, great. Just so I understand a little bit. And then what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna do a fire drill, but just so I understand a little bit, real quick, Bob, whose money is this?
That's the bank's money.
The $420,000, that's the bank's money, right? Yeah. Whose money is this?
That's my money.
That's your money, right? Because if you sell the house today, you can take that $300,000 of equity and it's cash on your pocket. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. Now, let me ask you a question. If you don't pay for this $3,600 a month, what happened with your money?
Oh, well, it goes poof, I guess. Lose it.
The bank takes it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, let me ask you another question, Bob. Do you think that when you pass, the bank's going to call Mary and say, Mary, I'm so sorry for your loss, but now this $420,000 is due. You have to bring a check to the bank tomorrow and pay off this $420,000. Do you think the bank will do that?
No.
The bank wouldn't do that, right? Because the bank doesn't care for the balance, they care for the payment. Is that right? They care that you make that $3,600 payment. Is that right?
Right.
Okay. Now, another question. Do you think the bank would call Mary the day that you pass and say, Mary, I am so sorry. I am so very sorry. I'm sorry that you just lost Bob. It must be a very hard time for you. Now, to make it easier for you, we're going to give a year of free, we're going to postpone a year of mortgage payments. Okay. You don't have to worry about your mortgage for an entire year. Do you think the bank will do that?
I don't think so.
No, the bank would absolutely not do that. Now, first critical question for critical period, guys. You turn to Mary and say, Mary, how wonderful would that be for you if you had a whole year of no mortgage payments when Bob passes? And then you just shut up. The first person that opens their mouth loses. And then you're going to hear Mary say, oh my God, that would be amazing because, and then you say, okay, why would that be amazing? Because you know, I'm sure it would be a very difficult time for me to go through. Then I would have to worry about making that payment. And then you just dig into that question. Let them state out loud how that picture would be for you. You want them to draw it out for you. Remember, you are not trying to sell them anything. They need to sell you why it is that they need mortgage protection. Okay. So after this question, we're gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna say, okay, so Bob, tell me real quick here again, how much do you bring in? How much are you bringing in per month?
It's
Oh,
3,600.
Okay,
About
Bob, you're
that's
bringing in Social Security like $2,000 a month. Okay. Mary, how much are you bringing in every month, Mary? Oh, about $2,000 Social Security. Okay. Okay. Social Security. Okay. So you guys together are bringing in around $4,000. Is that right?
correct.
That's right. Okay. So let me real quick, just see where you guys are with expenses. So how much are you spending per mortgage? Your mortgage is $3,600. I'm going to do a quick fire drill real quick because I want to establish that need, right? So I'm going to do a fire drill. So how much are you spending for the mortgage? $3,600. Okay. So how much do you spend in water? Fast, Adriano, fast. What's your water bill?
50.
50. What's your electricity?
250.
250. What's your cell phones?
75.
What's your cable and internet?
100.
100. Hold on, I'm gonna make this income a little bit bigger, a little bit higher here.
You're working on a tight budget there.
Yeah, no, I do it all the time, but it's just.
Oh, I know, it's just, I'm trying to keep it under 4, but it's already
Okay.
busted.
So, okay, what about car payments? So cars paid off. What about car insurance?
150.
150. How much do you guys spend with food?
It's just us, so I don't know, $400.
$400. Do you have any HOA?
No.
No HOA. Do you have any student loans, any bills that you pay every single month?
No,
Any
just
credit cards?
credit cards, maybe about a couple hundred a month.
Okay. So that's not, okay. Credit cards, okay. All right, so what do we have here? So I'll basically just calculate and I'll tell them, okay, so this is basically your basic expenses, what you guys need to live. So $3,600, 50, 250, 75, 100, 150, 400, 200. Okay, so you guys are spending about $48.25. Does that sound right? Like for your basic expenses, right?
Yeah, it's usually around that $5,000 a month mark.
Okay. So let me ask you a quick question here. There's a, there's a little bit of a difference here between the income that you're bringing in and how much you're spending for your basic expenses. Are you guys putting some money away every month, or you just spend with whatever comes up?
I'm not sure. Well, by the looks of it, it doesn't look like we're doing a good job of keeping tabs on this, but I guess we just spend it. I don't know.
Okay. So yeah, that's normal. That's what we all do. I mean, you want to make them feel good about it. So then you're going to come in here, you're going to do that thing that I always do, which is this is your world. Your words cost, $48.25, but it's actually really costing $6,000 because you're spending whatever it's coming in, and, I'll do the little thing. You guys have to go back to the other video to know how to do it. One is bringing $3,000, the other one is bringing $3,000. So what would happen if you lost one of you? And then you ask the questions, to make them understand the value of it if they really need it. And then after I'm done with the fire drill, after they always stated out loud, they needed this type of protection, I'm going to ask the critical question or critical period. Now, okay, guys, write this down. If you're dealing with a couple, Bob and Mary, The questions you want to ask are very simple, but they are crucial for you to be able to build the value in this presentation. So what I'm going to do is, we all agreed, we all bought in, we need mortgage protection, right? We just did a fire drill. We looked at the numbers. I did a budget for them. Now, say I will turn around and say, okay, so Mary, talk to me a little bit. How long would you like to stay in this house if Bob passes? Notice that I didn't say, Mary, would you like to stay in this house if Bob passed? Mary, like, I did not ask if she wants to stay. I didn't ask Mary, until when would you like to stay here? No, because if I say, would you like, she's gonna say yes. If I ask, when would you like to stay here until, she's gonna say forever. Yeah. The question is, how long would you want to stay in this house if Bob passes? Why? Because I am giving her permission to stay out loud that maybe she doesn't want to stay here. The majority of the times, guys, the person either can't afford to stay in the house by themselves, or they just have too many memories, too much history to be able to stay in that house. They will want to sell the house anyway, but they need to say it out loud. You don't want to say it for them. So the key question is, Mary, how long would you want to stay in this house when Bob passes? And then she's going to say, I don't know, maybe a year. Okay. Let's say that Mary says, you know what? No, I want to stay in this house. I want to stay here until I die. Okay. Then how long can you afford to stay in this house when Bob passes? We just saw that they have a life that costs $6,000 and Mary's only really bringing in $3,000. She can't afford to stay in this house, not even a month. Her mortgage alone is $3,600 and she's bringing in $3,000. Then I need them to say it. So I will say, how long can you afford to stay in this house when Bob passes? And then she's going to say, oh, I can't afford to do so. Okay. All right. Now, if we had to sell the house, how long do you think you would need to be able to pack everything up, to grieve, to pack everything up, to get it all together, to call a realtor, to put the house in the market and sell the house? And then they're going to say, yes, Antonio, I asked both the same questions. I want to hear both of them state what their wishes are. And then I'm making notes, right? Because I need to use those questions to set up the stage on how I'm going to show my critical period options. So, okay, so how long would you like to stay here? How long can you afford to stay here? How long do you think you need to get everything ready to put this house on the market? And then I'll go into some other questions like, so how long do houses usually take to sell around here? Do they sell quickly or do they sit in the market for a little bit longer, right? Those are the basic questions you want to ask, and you can dig into it a little bit more as you go to really hear what their wishes are in case they were to sell. Now, if you're dealing with a person that doesn't have a spouse and the beneficiary is going to be the kids, that's easy. That's my favorite. What you're going to do is you're going to say, okay, so Mary, who's your beneficiary? Oh, your son. Okay, where does your son live? Your son lives in Maryland. Okay, so what does he do for a living? Oh, he's an engineer. Okay, so he's very busy. His life is very busy, right? Okay, so when you pass, what do you think your son is going to do with this house? First critical question for one person, not a husband and wife. What do you think your son would do with this house? And if they don't really know how to answer that question, you might need to direct that conversation, and you're going to say, Do you think he would sell the house, or do you think he would move into the house? You know, he's not moving into the house. The guy lives in Maryland. He's not coming over here and moving into the house, but you want to hear her say it. You don't want to say it out loud. You want to hear her say it. And then she's going to be, oh, no. He lives in Maryland. He has 3 kids. He's married and he's very busy. Okay. So your son would not live here. So he would sell this house. Is that correct? Yeah, he would sell the house. Okay, perfect. Now you said that he lives in Maryland. He's very busy. How long do you think it would take him to take some time off of work, come over here, get everything together, put the house in the market, and be able to sell this house? How long do you think he needs? Do you think he needs 6 months? Do you think he needs 12 months? Do you think he needs 2 years? Oh, I don't know, maybe 12 months is enough for him to figure it out. Okay, great. Now, how long do you think he would need to sell this house for the best price? Do houses usually sit in the market for a long time around here, or do they sell quick? Oh, they're selling pretty quick now. Okay, so how long, this house is a little bit remodeled, do you think it would take a little bit more time? Or do you think that even though, you know, it's probably a little bit overpriced for the neighborhood, you would sell a little bit more? You want to dig into those questions. You want to hear them stating what it is, the time that they need to be able to make this happen, right? Once you went through some of these questions and they stated what would be the adequate time, you're going to start explaining to them what it is that you're going to need, they're going to need for their mortgage. Remember, on your Roman purpose, you went on and you told them the very key statement, which is, I'm going to ask you some financial questions to find out if you even need mortgage protection. If you don't, I'll let you know. However, what I find the most often is the majority of the people that I see needs less than what I think they do. And that's what I will help you figure out. Now, you ask the questions, they stated out loud what it is that they want, what it is that they need, and you're gonna tell them, okay, so Bob and Mary, we definitely have some options here. You do not want to tell your clients that you can't give them what they want because they will want more. Trust me, they will. You don't want to do that. What you're going to do is you're going to tell them, Bob and Mary, we definitely have some options here. Now, what we all want to achieve for our loved ones is a full mortgage payoff, right? However, that could be the most difficult to qualify and the most expensive option. And to be honest, I'm not here to get your insurance broke. Remember, I told you I was going to tell you what it is that you need rather than what it is that you want. So I can get you, a full mortgage payoff, but what I would recommend instead would be something that's a lot more affordable and that will do the same for you. And that's an option that I call equity protection or critical period. What does that mean? Equity protection is a way to make sure that, God forbid something happens to you guys, we're going to make sure that $300,000 is protected. And we're going to make sure that Mary is going to keep a roof over her head. Does that make sense? And they're going to be like, no, I have no idea what you're talking about. Exactly. Okay. So here's the thing. When you pass, you have to paint the picture, guys. If you don't paint the pictures and let them see what it is that you're doing, they're not going to understand. There's no value. You're going to lose that sale. Okay. So when you pass, Bob, I asked Mary, how good would it be for her to have 12 months of that mortgage payment voided or paid for her? And she said that would be a wonderful thing, right? That's it. This product, this concept is something that we would put together that basically will give Mary some time to live her life on her own terms rather than the bank's terms. There's a baby in there. Where's the baby?
Some arms coming up. Sorry, guys.
Where's the baby? Show the baby, Adrian. Everybody wants to see the baby.
Oh no, he needs to stay asleep. I'll show him at the end.
He's sleeping for real?
Yeah. We want to keep it that way, trust me.
Thanks, my baby. So this option is going to give Mary time to live her life on her own terms rather than the bank's terms. And how do we do that? So equity protection, it's a smaller policy. It's a whole life policy that will give Mary a lump sum of money, which will equal enough money to pay for the mortgage, let's say for 12 months or for 24 months. And what that's going to do, it's going to allow her to pay for the mortgage, to grieve, to put the house in the market, to sell the house and get the best price for the house, because she doesn't need to be in a hurry, right? And then what she's going to do is she's going to take the equity, which is $300,000, because as we just discussed, she doesn't need to be in this house, this massive house. When she's alone, she doesn't have you here anymore, right? So she's going to take this $300,000 of equity and she's going to roll into a condo or into an apartment or something smaller. Let's say that she goes out there and she's able to get a condo for $200,000. Now, we're keeping what we want to do in the first place. We're keeping a roof over her head, and she's putting an extra $100,000 in her pocket to go through this critical period, which is after the loss of a loved one, after the loss of her life's partner. Does that make sense? And after you painted that picture for them, they're like, oh my God, yes. And then I go and I say, because for me, it makes no sense for me to come in here and show you an option that costs more than your mortgage. My goal is to protect your mortgage. My goal is to protect you guys from losing your home. My goal is to make sure that when you lose when you lose each other, your home is going to be protected. And most importantly, you're not going to lose that roof that's over your head, okay? They're like, oh yeah, it makes total sense. So basically what we just did is we told them we can get them what they want, but we are acting their best interest and we're showing them what they need. Now, if it's a one person and their kids live out of the house, or they live in Baltimore, or they live in Maryland, or they live, or they're gonna sell the house anyway. You don't even need to go much into it. You just say, so Mary, you just told me that Jonathan is selling the house anyway, right? Right. Okay. So so basically what we need here is really just give Jonathan a little bit of time to make sure that he's not going to be losing this home in case he's not able to make those mortgage payments for a little bit of time, or for the first, critical few months that you're not here anymore. Does that make sense? And she's like, yeah, it makes sense. Okay. So basically here's what we want to do. When you pass, Jonathan is going to be going through the facts that he just lost his mom. He's going to be going through having to figure out, your funeral expenses. He's going to have to get you buried. He's going to have to deal with, his kids, missing grandma, grieving you. And then he's going to have to get all of your stuff together. He's going to have to put the house in the market, sell this house, and get the equity out. So, that's the life insurance that you're living for him, because basically you have $300,000 in this home over here. So that alone is a massive life insurance you're living for him. He just needs to have enough time to be able to get that money out of the house, because we never know what's happening in life, right? And they're like, yeah, like just this pandemic alone, nobody saw this coming. So you're telling me that Jonathan this is a very, very specific objection. It's going to come up. Oh, no, but I don't think I need this, because Jonathan has a really good job. He's not going to have a problem paying for this mortgage for a few months until he sells the house. Okay, that sounds great. But here's the thing. He has a good job today. So write down for me. I don't even say what, write down for me. And I give them the pen and they say, what do you mean? Write down what? Write down the date you're going to die. And they're like, what? I'm like, I need you to write down the date on the paper here that you're going to die. And they're like, how would I do that? Exactly. You can, right? Yeah. So God forbid something happen and we have another pandemic like this. And then Jonathan loses his job. And he's not in a situation like he is today. And he's battling to hold on to his own mortgage. How is he going to hold on to his mortgage and this mortgage? Then you shut up. Let them do the thinking. And they're going to be like, yeah, that makes sense. And if they don't comprehend that, I tell them my story. I say, listen, the reason I'm in mortgage protection, I'm in insurance, is because a few years ago, my ex-husband had an accident. And at the time I used to make $900,000 a year. My ex-husband and I, we made $900,000 a year. We were riding on top of the world. And then when he had an accident, he lost his eyesight and he was in the hospital for 6 weeks. And he was doing hyperbaric chamber therapy that cost me $2,500 a session. And he was doing 4 a day. And now I don't have a business anymore, which the business was him. If he doesn't have an eye, he can't sculpt glass. There's no business. I had to let go 16 of my employees. And 5 weeks later, I was bankrupt from making $900,000 a year to being bankrupt. Now, if my mom had called me and said, Vivian, I'm thinking about getting this mortgage protection policy that's going to cost me $90 a month, I would tell her, you're crazy. Why are you going to spend $90 a month? That doesn't make any sense. But then if God forbid something happened and my mom died while I was battling to hold my house, which I couldn't afford anymore, I would lose my house and her house. So do you want Jonathan to lose your house in case, you know, when you die, he's not in a condition of taking a $3,600 payment? And then you shut up. Let them think. You're not selling anything, guys. This is the key. You're not selling anything. They are selling you as to why you need to sell them protection, mortgage protection. You're not selling anything. You are advising them. You're making them think. Okay. So key critical questions for critical period. How long would you want to stay in this house? How much time do you need? How, if it's the kids, is how long do you think he would need to come in here and get it all together? Do you think that he would live in the house, or do you think he would sell the house? Could he afford to live in the house? Could you afford to stay in the house? And then once you gather all of that information, and you're going to explain to them that equity protection is a way to making sure that the loved one that's left behind is going to live life on their own terms rather than the bank's terms. What this is going to do for them is that you are leaving behind some time for them to figure out life. If they want to stay in the house and you leave behind a year of mortgage protection, they can figure out, maybe they can rent out some of the rooms and they can keep the house. Or maybe they can get another job and they can keep the house. Or maybe they can figure something else out where they're going to be making more money and then they can keep the house. But what are you doing? You're leaving behind a gift for them to figure it out, because now they have some time to do so. Does that make sense? Do you guys have any questions? Adriana, are there any questions here that I need to answer? Adriana. Yes. So Dolores, that's a great question. I get it all the time. Oh, no. I can just rent out, some rooms to help pay for the mortgage. Yes, that sounds like a great concept. Now, do you know how long it takes for a mortgage company or a bank to start sending you foreclosure letters? And then you shut up. And they're going to be like, no, I don't. Yeah. In 2 months, you missed 2 months of payments. They're sending you foreclosure letters. And then you shut up. You're like, oh, yeah. So let's say, again, write it down. What? Write it down. Tell me when you're going to die. Do you know that when you die, do you know what the economy is going to be like? Do you know if renting a room in your house is going to be something that's going to be easy to do, that you're going to be able to do it like next day? Because if you died in 2008, you wouldn't be able to rent anything. You wouldn't even be able to rent a whole house, much less a room. Everybody was broke. Do you know if if God forbid something happens, you know, how you would be able to rent those rooms, how long it would take, and then you shut up, right? And then they are going to start figuring it out, because the reality is you don't know what's going to happen when you die. So why are you making these assumptions? What are you doing is you're putting a plan in place, because God forbid something happens, there is a safety net. That's what you're doing. You're making sure your loved one is not losing that $300,000. You're not protecting. It's not about the $10,000 policy that you put in place for them. What you're doing is you're protecting $300,000 of equity. Are you willing to lose this money? Because if God forbid you die and your wife and your kids are not able to pay for that $3,600, that $300,000 is gone, and that's your money. That's what you need to do. You need to make them understand that. No, Amber. I don't ever use payment protection. I only use whole life for a critical period and equity protection. You're gonna take a whole life policy, and after you heard all of their questions, all of their answers, and after you explain the concept, and they say, yeah, that makes total sense. After I'm done explaining and painting the picture to them, guys, I don't ever get somebody to tell me, no, I want an entire mortgage payoff, and I'm 76 years old and I have severe health issues. I never do. They're like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. That's what we want every time. In the beginning, when I didn't know how to explain these concepts well, I did get people telling me they want a whole mortgage payoff, and then I would just pull the option and show them that was more expensive than their mortgage, and then they would believe me when I said, I don't want to get you insurance broke, right? So basically, I will get a whole life product. So I'll get a Miracle Eagle Premier, and then I will see what $30,000 is going to give me. $30,000 is, it could give me, you know, depending on the amount, it could give me 24 months, it could give me 36 months, it could give me 12 months. It depends on the amount. Okay. So I will always show them the highest amount. The highest amount is going to be always whatever the most I can do, which is $30,000. Okay. After that, I will show the highest amount, which is $30,000, and then I will go down. So usually I will show 12, 18, and 24 months. That's what I usually show. And then I tell them, you know, I address the think about before. That's in other trainings, how to do that. And then after that, if what I'm showing them is not comfortable for their budget, then I will pull different options until I can find what's comfortable for their budget. Okay, so I'll take $30,000 because it's the maximum. Always show the maximum. And then also, so if $30,000 is giving me 36 months, I will show them 36 months, 24 months, and 12 months, right? Then I'll present the options. I'll find what's comfortable for their budget, and then we'll do the application and we'll go from there. The key when it comes to this presentation is painting the picture. What you want to do with equity protection is you want to make sure these people are not losing their home in case, God forbid, something happens and they are not able to make those mortgage payments. You want to make sure that they understand that the points that you're doing here is you're protecting their equity, and you protect them from losing the home, and you're giving them a little bit of time to be able to make that happen. Let me go through some of these questions real quick. Yeah, so Amber, the way I do it, I always start with what's the maximum I can do for them. $30,000 American Eagle Premier, great. So if the mortgage is, let's say the mortgage, in this case, okay, Bob and Mary. So the mortgage is $3,600. So I'll do $30,000 divided by $3,600. So basically, the most I could do here would be 9 months. So I will show them 9 months, 6 months and 3 months because they have a very big mortgage, right? But most of the people don't. So let's say if they have a $1,200, a $2,000 mortgage, right? So I would take $30,000. I would divide by 2,000. That's going to give me 15 months. So I will show, I usually show 15 months, 12 months, and 9 months. I always show 3 options and then go from there. But I always go, the first option I'm going to show, it's always the maximum I can get them qualified for. And then I'll go from there. I always go whole life, guys, because remember, these people have health issues. They're older and they have health issues. And also, you want to give them the option to keep that policy in place even after the mortgage is paid off if it's an option. I don't want to write a 10-year-old term on a 75-year-old male with health issues. First of all, they're not going to qualify, right? Second of all, I mean, that's going to be extremely expensive. And then in 10 years from now, they have nothing when they most need protection. So for me, I am doing this because I want to make sure these people are going to actually get paid on these policies when they die. So, John, you probably need to talk to your upline about, the requirements from the writing, but no, America doesn't have any fully underwritten programs. Katie, if you don't qualify for a medical Eagle Premier, you have to do the underwriting to understand what it is that they do qualify. But if, worst case scenario and they have cancer, you have to go AIG, whatever it is that they're going to qualify for. Is there any other questions you want me to address, Audrey, because you've been reading them? No, Kelly, we do not do whole life policies for $300,000. We usually do whole life policies up to $30,000, which would be American Eagle Premier. And again, you need to talk to upline so you can understand the products a little bit better. And then that's what you're going to use to be able to protect that home. So again, a whole life policy on an older person for $300,000 is going to cost 3 times their mortgage. So we want to find something affordable. We want to find something that they can keep long term, and that's going to give the protection they are looking for. Adri, are you muted again? Again, I don't know how to do this. Let's see. Okay, ask you on mute. Okay.
Yay.
Any other questions you want me to go through?
Yes. So can you just touch on, like, under what circumstances would you stack policies?
So if I go in somebody's home and they say, I want my whole mortgage paid off. I'm 79 years old and I have money. Absolutely. Bob, let's protect your entire mortgage. It's going to cost you. And he's like, I don't care. Then we're going to stack policies. What are we going to do? We're going to take $30,000 from Eagle Premier. We're going to get $30,000 from Aetna Sando. We're going to get $30,000 from Aetna Protection Series. We're going to get $30,000 from American Amicable. And then we're going to stack them all. And that I do that a lot, actually. If they have the income to do so. But the majority, as you probably know, if you run mortgage protection, if you run final expense, the majority of the people that we're finding out there, they're on a fixed income. They're on Social Security, guys. They can afford to spend $1,000 a month in insurance. Now, sometimes you do. Sometimes you do. Like Dave, a few days ago, he went into somebody's home. He called me and he said, Vivian, this guy wants $1 million of term. Okay, tell me his health conditions. He had a heart attack. Oh, he's not getting term. He had a heart attack. That's never going to happen. Now, if he wants some different coverage, let's stack a few different policies and let's get him $100,000 of coverage. That's exactly what Dave did. He stacked some policies and they're all whole life because that's the only thing he's going to qualify for. Remember, you are field underwriter. Your job is not to sell. Your job is to qualify them and then to give them the options. Okay. So he found out what he was going to qualify for. He gave him the options. There you go. $1,000 a month. So he could afford it. So that's what we did. We stacked them up. Great. Yeah. Because that's a question we get a lot. So Claudia is asking, when you stack, do you apply for all at the same time? The answer is yes. Ultimately, you want to protect the people that you're sitting with. You don't want to just rush through it and say, oh, I'll finish the applications later just because you're running 2 hours behind on an appointment. Like, you have a duty. I don't chase appointments. I don't chase appointments. Sometimes I'm sitting in a home for 5 hours if I have to. And some of my biggest premiums are the ones that I'm sitting at home for the last time I sat in a home for 5 hours, I had a $14,000, combined premiums with all the policies that I wrote. Don't chase appointments. That's very important. Like, at least for me, I don't know other top producers. The reason I think I'm very successful with every single sit is because when I'm sitting with a family, my focus is right here on this family. I don't care that I have another 8 appointments. I book 8 appointments a day, knowing that I will only be able to sit with 4. Why do I book 8? Because if I get a bunch of no-shows, if I get some cancellations, I'm still sitting with 4. But if I can't get to the other 4, they're going to be fine. I'll call them, I'll reschedule, I'll see them tomorrow or the day after. Don't chase your appointments. Focus on the people you're sitting with. So yes, if I'm sitting here and they want $1,000 a month, they want 4 different policies, I'll write them all, and I'm not leaving the house until they're done. I do not leave anybody unprotected if I can help it.
So Paul Trevino's asking, in what scenarios do you add move guarantee advantage as a stack option? But
well, so more guaranteed adventure adventure time. So that's a great question, because a lot of times we don't realize how powerful accidental is. For example, if you go into a lot of times, if I can't protect a whole mortgage, even on younger people, if I can't protect a whole mortgage because they just can't afford that $250,000 policy, just do 125 in life and 125 in accidental. Or if for some reason they're a little bit older and you're doing a let's say a $30,000 policy on somebody with a mortgage of 100, just add another $60,000 in accidental there in case they get in an accident, the whole house is paid off, right? So you always use, accidental to supplement whatever it is that you're doing, because it costs very, very, very little, and you're able to give the extra protection, and the client really appreciates that. So anytime you can use it.
Yeah, a lot of times it's available as a rider, right? So it's also a good, I mean, it's a couple of bucks more. So are you typically writing whole life policies on, if you're meeting with a couple, do you typically find yourself covering both of them, or just like the breadwinner the majority of the time? Because somebody sent me, Dolores, I think, I don't know if it was on purpose or by accident, but it was a question via direct message. So it's like, when should you, or how do you find that most of the time you're writing whole life on both of the people you're meeting with, if they're a couple or not?
If they are older, I'm one of those people that I hate writing term on older people. If you're like, I will write term on somebody that's like sometimes, between, their 60s. I don't like it though, but I will write it if they want to. And a lot of times I will do it like, I will do it if they want to. I just want a 10-year term, or just want a 15-year term. Okay, fine, I will do it.
But in the case of like equity protection, when you meet with a couple and they're a little bit older, are you typically covering both of them?
Yes, I always give options to both of them. I will do the fire drill, and I will honestly tell them if they need it. If they don't need it, I'll tell them the wife doesn't need it. So if I do a fire drill and I see, okay, so the husband's bringing in $10,000 a month, and their expenses are, $6,000 a month, and the wife is bringing in $0. We need to protect that husband, because that $10,000 stopped coming in. How is the wife going to pay for their $6,000 of expenses? But if the wife is gone and he's still bringing in $10,000 and there's $6,000 of expenses, there's really no need. There's no need to put a protection in place for her. So what I usually do is, after I do that little circle thing, I say, okay, so Bob, remember when I told you that I was going to tell you if you need this or not? Okay, you need to get some protection in place, because God forbid something happens to you. Mary is out of a house, but we don't need to put anything for Mary, because if something happens to Mary, you're going to be fine paying the bills. Now, if you want to put something in place for Mary, we can do something for her final expenses or life insurance, but a need for mortgage protection, there's no need. I will straight up tell them that, because I'm not here to lie to people. I'm here to help them put something in place if they need. That's what this business is about. So a lot of times I do that and they want the protection anyway, because I was honest enough to say so. Now, if they need, I'll tell them, like, looks like we both need this, right? And then they're like, oh yeah, absolutely. So again, that's why I want to find out what the needs are before I give them options. So I'm not shooting, options in the dark without them really needing it. If they both need it, yes, I'll pull options for both.
So yeah, great answer. Katie's asking that last week, she said that you mentioned that you call your clients when you receive their policies or when they receive them to reach out to you. And then you go back to their home to complete everything. Is that correct? Yes, that's correct. And she's asking, are their policies not active or not enforced until they sign and return the hard copy? There's just
no. All policies, the moment they charge for the first premium, they're enforced. There's no such thing as signing the hard copy. Our companies don't require to sign unless it's denied well, they need to sign an illustration or something like that. No, I go back because that's one of the reasons I have a very low chargeback rate. I give them the option. I don't go back all the time because I tell them on my own purpose, say, listen, Mary, I wish I did, but I don't have a crystal ball just yet. So you have to call me when you get that policy so I can come and review it with you. If you don't call me, I don't know you got it, I can come. Does that make sense? And sometimes they do call me. And then I come, I open the policy, I look at it, I show them that everything is correct, and I'm out of there in 5 minutes. Sometimes I come and they're not sure if they want to keep it, and then I show them how great it is, and they do keep it. So yes, if they call me, I'll come and I'll review it with them. I'll make sure that they understand what they have, and it takes me 5 minutes. You know what? I just made a $3,000 commission on that one sale. What's 5 minutes to me? So yeah, I'll come and I'll explain.
So yeah, I don't see any more questions unless anyone has any more questions about anything that we covered today. About equity protection or critical period. Now would be the time. We're pretty much about to wrap this up, if I'm not mistaken, unless Vivian, you have anything else to add.
No, that's it.
Basically,
it's the most important thing when it comes to critical period and equity protection is painting the picture, guy. And I will tell you, so when I first started in this business, I started doing mortgage protection. And I think that's why, not just me, Arletha, Josh, Shanae, we all only did mortgage protection before we came here. So I think that's why, it's a little bit easier for us because we did a lot of it. If you try going in a home and selling a $10,000 policy on a $300,000 mortgage without asking the right questions, it's not going to work. Trust me, we try. Okay, it's just not going to work. You have to build that value. You need to explain. What this policy is going to do for them. You need to make them see it. You need to paint the picture. You need to draw it out. If you do a good job explaining what this is going to do for them, they're going to forget the fact that it's just a $10,000 policy for $200. Because what they are going to understand is that it's not about how much of a policy they're getting. It's about how much of a benefit they're getting by having that policy. So that's why it's so important to explain and to make them understand and ask the questions as you go and get the buy-in every step of the way. How important would that be for you, Mary? How much would that help you, Mary? How long do you need to get this done, Mary? And then by Bob listening to Mary, by Mary listening to Bob, by them buying in every step of the way, by you explaining to them how you keeping a roof over their head when, God forbid, the horrible thing that is death, it's coming. That's the one thing we know it's going to happen. By you drawing that out and making Bob see and understands that Mary is going to be all right, that's where you're going to win. They are not going to kick back when you say it's a $10,000 policy. They're not going to kick back when you say it's a $20,000 policy. All they can see when you did your job, you did a good job at painting the picture, is that Mary's going to be all right, Bob is going to be all right. Then it does not matter how much the coverage is, because whatever it is, they're going to be all right. It's going to allow them to be all right. So that's basically the concept of what you need to do when it comes to critical period equity protection. And a lot of times, if you're running instant internet life leads, a lot of times you're gonna come across, you know, people that have mortgages, most times, you know, and sometimes they just want for final expense. But do you know what? You wanna make your premium higher. Instead of showing a $10,000, $15,000 policy for final expense, go ahead and show them here's what I'm gonna do for you, Mary and Bob. I know that you just wanna cover your final expenses, but have you thought about what's gonna happen with your mortgage when you pass? What if Mary doesn't have enough money to be able to keep making those mortgage payments, you know, for a little bit of time to be able to hold on to that critical period and be all right? So here's what I'm going to do for you, Bob and Mary. I'm going to show you an option that's going to cover your final expense, but it's also going to cover your mortgage. So here's option one. Option one is $15,000 of mortgage final expense plus 12 months of mortgage payments. So that way, Mary doesn't have to worry about covering those final expenses, and Mary doesn't have to worry about paying for that mortgage for a whole year. How nice would that be, Bob, if you leave one whole year of mortgage payments behind for Mary? Right there, instead of selling a $15,000 policy, you're selling a $30,000 policy. You just change your business like that. You went from a $60 a month premium to $120 a month premium. You just doubled your commission, and you just protected that client in a much better way, that they're not losing that home. Mary doesn't have to worry about those final expenses. So what I'm going to end with this. What I want you guys to think about is this business. I always say this. I probably said it last week. I'm going to say it next week. This business is not about money, guys. This business is about people. If you wake up in the morning and you tell, and this is something that I got from one of Les Brown's video that I watch all the time. It's my favorite in the world. And if instead of you, when you wake up in the morning, you think how much money I'm going to sell today, how much commissions I'm going to make today, you ask yourself, what is it that I can do to touch and impact somebody's life today? And then you take that thinking and you use it as a way of bettering your business. How do you make your business better? So instead of going in there and thinking, I want to sell some premium, I want to sell some life insurance, you go in there thinking, I want to make sure this guy, Bob, has his final expenses covered, so Mary doesn't have to worry about it. I want to make sure that Mary's not losing the house when Bob passes. I want to make sure these guys are all set. So I'm going to do my best. And don't leave the house until you do your best. The moment that you have that mindset, the moment that you fight for your clients, because they don't have the knowledge to fight for themselves. They don't understand what could happen if, God forbid, something happens and they have nothing in place. It's your job to make them understand. So the moment that you get that in your mindset, your business is going to change. So go out there, protect people, fight for them, and use the technique that you learned here today to make your business better, to make more money. It's not about you, it's about them. When it's about them, trust me, you both win, and you're going to win a lot more than you are now.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't really have much to add after that. That's on point for sure. Luca and I thank you guys for being here. Hello, it's a challenge. We're trying to juggle everything, but
baby.
when I'm,
Look, he's smiling. He's smiling.
Yeah, he's going to be our next top producer in a few years there. So thanks for joining us, guys. People are asking, I know you guys are asking, is this is this all, where to find the trainings and all that stuff? We're gonna publish the videos, but we're gonna give it a little bit of time because we don't want people just like not, you know, just taking a shortcut and say, yeah, I'm gonna watch the video, and then they don't log in to watch it and they're missing valuable information. But we will be posting them. There will be announcements on that, especially last week's video. And what are we covering next week? What's the topic? Do you have that on hand?
The topic, I don't know.
Yeah,
Let's
just
see.
so that, yeah, today was critical questions for critical
Next
period.
week is finding the need in the home with a financial fire drill. So I'm gonna go, I've gone through the financial fire drill a little bit. I'm gonna go into the details of how to set up a financial fire drill, a few questions you wanna ask, how to make them think about, you know, everything when you're doing the financial fire drill, and how to set it up in a way that is going to add so much value to the presentation that's going to take your business to the next level.
Very good. All right, guys, thanks for being with us. I got 2% battery life. And Luke and I say hello and goodbye, and we'll see you next week. Peace, guys.
Have a wonderful evening, guys. I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.